Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 57. 57? 57 of the Unstoppable Entertainment Show, the most comprehensive entertainment news show on the internet. I am, of course, Nate Schaffner, otherwise known as the Unstoppable Nate. And welcome back. I hope everyone's doing well. I hope everyone's uh, doing okay in this crazy, crazy world. And I hope that this show provides a brief respite from whatever it is that you're going through in life. I'm going to try to do two episodes today. I wanted to do at least one, but I'm going to try to do two. Um, but before I get started, I just wanted to remind everybody that if you like this show, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, spread the word, tell your friends. Also, if you have a comment or a question, or if you'd like me to talk about certain movies or franchises, you can drop a comment or a question in the comment section, or you can email me anytime at the address listed in the description of this video. So, with that out of the way, let's get started here. And you know, I've there's been a lot of there's been a lot in the news lately about, you know, Paramount Skydance buying Warner Brothers, and there's uh, been a lot of been a couple a few updates regarding that uh, acquisition since my last episode. So I wanted to touch on a couple of things real quick regarding that. So um, there's an article here on Variety um, that was published by Michael Schneider. um, and so basically, there are a couple of things. There are a few things that have happened with the whole Paramount Skydance buying Warner Brothers. That whole acquisition. There have been a few things that have happened that have, at least for me, uh, are there are a few things that have happened that are concerning. At least, excuse me, in my opinion. Um, and one of those things, and again, this article was published on March 2nd. So this little piece of information might be outdated, and new stuff might have come in, and if it has, I'm not aware of it. But this is something that happened recently over the past few weeks, and if there's an update about this, then I will try to find it. But um, this article is on Variety, published on March 2nd by Michael Schneider, and according to this, a little ways down here in this article, it says that according to insiders, Paramount CEO David Ellison had yet to reach out to Warner Brothers executives including Casey Bloys, who is head of HBO. He had yet to reach out to them when he finally shared some of his plans for the combined Paramount WB. Without many details, David Ellison told analysts that he plans to give HBO autonomy even as he aims to merge HBO Max and Paramount Plus. this is concerning to me because it's he announces plans before you tell the people your before you tell the executives what you're gonna do. Like we're I'm just gonna tell you what I'm gonna do with your company right now instead of talking to you beforehand. And that's concerning. It's insulting, and as far as I'm concerned, like talking to company executives about what you want to do with their company is like basic uh, company management 101, in my book, but what the hell do I know? So that is a little concerning. The other piece of news here, you know, is I find it important. I and this may sound like a bunch of gobbledygook, but I personally find it very, again, very important, and again very concerning. So there's this article that was published on uh, Bloomberg via Yahoo Finance, and it was published the next day, so March 3rd, by Rob Gollum. um, and so, for those who don't know, um, so first of all, uh, Paramount bought, for those who don't know, Paramount bought Warner Brothers for $79 billion. They overpaid, to say the least. Now, and I'm gonna go over this, and I'm gonna try to explain it as best I can. But I'm not really an expert on uh, an expert on credit reports or anything like that, or reading like industry finance. I really am not the best person to go to about that kind of thing. But I'm going to try to explain this and interpret it to you. I'm going to try to interpret and explain to you the best I can. So for those who don't know, um, oh, I'm sorry. So I'm sorry. First of all, Paramount bought WB for $110 billion. We'll get to the $79 billion number in a minute, but I should clarify that Paramount bought Warner Brothers for $110 billion, and again, they overpaid. Now, the other thing I want to point out is that there are, um, what's the credit ratings services. I'm trying to I'm sorry, credit rating agencies. Now, when you're a corporation, I've made a lot of notes here. When you're a corporation, you are given a credit rating, and your credit rating is based on a letter score. And the lowest is a B, and it goes up. It starts at the lowest level, which is B, and then there's double B, triple B, A, double A, and triple A. And triple A is the highest. That means you have a great credit score. Um, and So there's this article on Bloomberg, published on Bloomberg via Yahoo Finance. Uh, so this article says Paramount Skydance Corporation shares fell more than 8% after Fitch Ratings. Now, Fitch Ratings is one of the big three credit rating agencies. Fitch Ratings downgraded the film and TV company's debt rating to junk to reflect a surge in borrowings from the $110 billion takeover of Warner Brothers Discovery Inc. So, Paramount Skydance Corporation is now classified as junk. Fitch cut its rating on Paramount to double B minus, to double B plus, according to a statement late Monday. It was previously triple B minus, the lowest investment grade rating. The rating service also said Paramount is on negative watch, pending details on deal terms, financing, and deleveraging efforts. Now, what does this all mean? Again, I'm gonna try to explain this to you the best I can, and I've made a lot of notes here so that I can clearly and concisely explain this to you. So the $79 billion number that I mentioned earlier. So Paramount bought Warner Brothers for $110 billion. Now, when that acquisition is finalized, Paramount and owning Warner Brothers and them being one combined company is, to say the least, going to put both companies at tremendous risk in many ways. And one of those ways is that when the acquisition of Warner Brothers by Paramount is complete, Paramount will actually be in debt by about $79 billion because they overpaid for Warner Brothers. Paramount will be in debt by $79 billion. And according to these credit agencies, Paramount now is classified as junk, and they are a legitimate credit risk. Now, let's get into the why Paramount was downgraded to junk. There were a few reasons. One of them was, like I said, the debt. Paramount will actually be the combined company is expected to carry roughly $79 billion in debt. The Fitch and S&P, those are two of the big three ratings agencies. They're concerned that the leverage, meaning the ratio of debt to earnings, is too high for an investment grade company. In other words, they are going to have more debt than their income and revenue generation can handle. So there's that. One of the other reasons why this rating was downgraded is due to cash flow pressure. Integrating these two companies is very expensive, and um, Fitch has noted that free cash flow will likely be negative through this year, meaning they won't even be turning a profit until 2027. So there's that. Then there's this other bit of news, which I think is kind of funny and interesting. So, because uh, Netflix backed out of the deal, because the Ted Sarandos at Netflix was just like, when Paramount went all in and offered the extraordinary amount of money they offered Warner Brothers, Netflix was like, okay, you guys can take it. We don't want it for that much. It's not worth it. So Paramount actually had to pay Netflix a $2.8 billion termination fee. They had to pay Netflix a $2.8 billion termination fee because Warner Brothers Discovery scrapped an earlier deal with them to go with Paramount instead. So that's just nearly $3 billion that they just had to pay Netflix. Now, this article mentioned that the rating service also said Paramount is on negative watch, pending details on deal terms, financing, and deleveraging efforts. What does that mean? Negative watch means if these credit agencies don't see a clear plan to pay off this debt quickly, that Paramount Skydance will be, or could be, their rating might drop even further, and that's not good either. Now, there are consequences. Like I said, the Paramount Skydance has been downgraded to junk, right? There are consequences of a company being downgraded to junk. And I'm not talking specifically about Paramount here. This is like if any company was downgraded to junk. So, like, let's say you have a low credit score, and you need to borrow some money, right? If you have a low credit score and you need to borrow money, you are going to have to pay a much higher interest rate to borrow that money. So now, because of Paramount Skydance being downgraded to junk, when Paramount Skydance goes to an agency to finance, because it's not like these studios. A lot of people think that, Paramount and these other film studios, they're not sitting on huge piles of cash, right? They have to go through agencies to finance a movie. So, just like with a person, when a person has a low credit score and they need to borrow money, they have to pay a higher interest rate. So now, because Paramount Skydance has been downgraded to junk, when they go to these agencies to borrow money to finance their films, they're going to have to pay a higher interest rate, which means that specifically the movies that Paramount Skydance wants to make are going to be more expensive, and that's not good. Um, the other and again, that is not. I I used Paramount Skydance in that example, but like that's with any company. Like if a company that I had, if we were downgraded to junk, which if I was in charge of a company, it probably would be downgraded to junk. Uh, but if a company has been downgraded to junk, they would need to pay a higher interest rate. But Paramount will now have to pay a higher interest rate to borrow money, which will make making their movies more expensive. Um, this uh, also being downgraded to junk um, serves as a formal warning that the company is at a higher risk of defaulting on its loans or facing bankruptcy if like the economy takes a downturn, um, which you know might happen. Um, so Paramount Skydance theoretically could default on their loans. So that's not good either. Um, and the other thing too, and I don't think that this will uh, affect Paramount that much. But if a company is downgraded to junk, then uh, many large funds, like pension funds, for example, um, are legally prohibited from holding junk debt. And again, I don't know. I don't think that will affect Paramount all that much. Um, Now, how does this uh, affect Paramount going forward? Well, to get back to investment grade, meaning like, oh, this is the company I want to invest some stock in, to get back to investment grade, Paramount will have to be will have to do a couple of things and be aggressive about it, and it's not looking good. They're going to have to be aggressive about certain things, and one of them is that they're going to have to uh, make significant job cuts. A lot of people are going to lose their jobs, which sucks because, I mean, it just sucks in general. And what's interesting is that I don't think that was going to happen if Netflix had bought Warner Brothers. But because Paramount isn't doing so hot to begin with, they're going to have to make significant job cuts. The other thing that they might have to do, and this is not um, confirmed. This is they may have to do this. They may be forced to sell off specific cable networks or parts of their library to pay off their debt. So they may have to so for example, they may have to sell the rights to some of their films to pay off their debt, you know. Uh and that's going to suck. Like can you imagine like how many franchises does Paramount own? You know, um let's just to satisfy my curiosity. Um so like okay. So for example, like they may have to sell off the rights to the Star Trek franchise or the Mission Impossible franchise or the Transformers franchise. Like, can you imagine if Paramount had to sell the Transformers franchise to another company? Do you have any idea? Like, I'm not, like, just the Transformers movies alone. A couple of those movies made $1 billion, right? Like, can you imagine if they had to sell the rights to Transformers to another film studio and, like, you saw 20th Century Studios presents Transformers 9, you know? Like, that would be crazy. um and so the other thing that probably will happen, again, the whole asset sales thing might happen. One thing that probably will happen is that if Paramount buying Warner Brothers, if that deal does indeed go through, there will be uh, fewer green-lit movies. Fewer movies will be made. Fewer movies and TV shows will be made, because they're going to want to pivot toward getting out of their debt over. They're going to want to pivot toward profitability more so than uh um what's the word I'm looking for? Quantity of films and TV. Let's focus on getting out of debt first before we start making more stuff, essentially. And that's gonna suck because especially since they've said, like, Paramount, they've said, oh, we're gonna make 30 films a year. Well, that might not happen. So as of right now, I don't. This whole situation, I feel, puts both studios at risk. And I don't see an upside to any of this. Like, this is just going to be bad. There's all the way. This is just going to be bad all the way around. And it sucks and it's concerning. It's very concerning. So I just wanted to, as I put my notes away, I just wanted to touch on that a little bit. Part of what I wanted to do with this show is talk about industry, like, insider information and the whole business side of making movies, which I've always found fascinating because it's something that I'm always learning about. So I hope you guys weren't bored with that piece of with all that information. If you have any, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't. Not to toot my own horn, but I don't think I'm wrong about any of this. This seems like a pretty shitty situation. But I just wanted to talk about it for a few minutes. Let's move on to something more pleasant, shall we? Let's see here. Where did I go? Okay. So, one of my favorite actors, and I've talked about this before, one of my favorite actors ever is Paul Giamatti. I haven't, even in not so good movies like Lady in the Water, he was great in that. I first saw him in duets with Huey Lewis and Gwyneth Paltrow. And, he absolutely deserved that Oscar nomination for The Holdovers, which, guys, if you haven't seen The Holdovers, trust me, it's such a great film. It's such a great film. So, what is this? Okay. Um, so he will be. There's this article here about an upcoming movie that he will be in. um, there's this article on Deadline published by Andreas Weissman. This article says two-time Oscar nominee and avowed genre fan. Now what? Okay, let me just stop right here. Genre fan. When someone says they're a genre fan, that means science fiction, fantasy, and horror. That's what that means. So he's a big genre fan. Two-time Oscar nominee and avowed genre fan Paul Giamatti has been set to star in his first horror movie in a decade with Boutique. Giamatti will play American tourist Calvin, who, quote, journeys to the eerie English seaside town that inspired the work of his favorite reclusive author, but instead gets entangled with a murderous secret society permeating the whole town, unquote. That sounds really cool. So this movie will be directed by hold on. Let me see here. I want to get more information on this. So the movie will be directed by Jim Gavin. And this will be his directorial debut. Now, so journey to the eerie English seaside town that inspired the work of his favorite reclusive author, but instead gets entangled with a murderous secret society permeating the whole town. That sounds awesome. That sounds so creepy. That sounds like a little bit like it sounds a little more. That sounds a little bit like Eyes Wide Shut. If you guys haven't seen Eyes Wide Shut, oh my god. It was Stanley Kubrick's final film. I believe, if I have my information correct, hold on. So so it was Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut was Stanley Kubrick's final film, and he died like 6 days after like he had finished editing the film and screening it for the studio and the cast, and then he died like 6 days later. It was kind of wild. But this sounds a little bit like Eyes Wide Shut, but with a bit more horror touch to it, which I think is fantastic because that movie is a little horrifying on its own. And you know, I'll watch Paul Giamatti in anything. Good God, he is so talented. You know, I loved him in Cinderella Man with Russell Crowe. You know, and Jim Gavin making his directorial debut. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Directorial debuts make me nervous because, you know, they can make or break your career. You know, hopefully it's good. Hopefully it's great and it's awesome and we get to see Paul Giamatti in a horror movie. You know that this hopefully. So there's this information. I think this sounds great. I think this sounds great. So jump in the comment section and let me know what you guys think about this. So, the next bit of news here. Now, this makes me smile. So, you guys know for over the one of the movies that I'm very, very excited for. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. I might. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. I don't want to get too excited because I don't want to be like let down, but I don't think I will be. But I'm so excited for Mike Flanagan's Exorcist movie. He's doing a new Exorcist movie that's set within. It's not a remake or a continuation of anything. It's its own standalone thing. And there's more casting news that I'm going to talk about right now and a little bit later. So there's more casting news regarding Mike Flanagan's Exorcist movie. This article is on CBR, published by John Dodge. This article, a little ways down here, it says Sasha Calle has officially signed on for a leading role in the upcoming film. Although Calle's role, like plot details, is being kept tightly under wraps for the time being, fans do know that the film will be set in the same universe as the 1973 original rather than serving as a remake or reboot. Now, they are filming. Filming is currently underway for this movie. Sasha Calle has joined. Now, for those who don't know who Sasha Calle is, Sasha Calle was in the Flash movie with Ezra Miller. She played Supergirl. And I'll say it, that movie was decent. She was great. Aside from seeing Michael Keaton returning as Bruce Wayne and Batman, Sasha Calle was the best thing about that movie. She was awesome. She was great as Supergirl. That, even though Michael Keaton's introduction in that movie was a little goofy and a little weird, seeing Michael Keaton back was awesome, and Sasha Calle was awesome. That movie was decent, but she was great, and she was one of the, like, when that whole Snyderverse ended or got canceled or whatever phrase you want to use, Sasha Calle was one of the, like, I was like, oh man, I wish we could have seen more of her. You know what I mean? Like, because she was phenomenal in that movie, in the Flash movie. And I was like, and again, like, if I put my amateur filmmaking cap on, I'm like, I'm gonna follow her career because she's fantastic. She was great. Her being in this Exorcist movie, playing, it says she signed on to the lead role. So maybe, or signed on for a leading role. So maybe she plays the person who needs to be exorcised, however you pronounce it. Maybe she plays the person who gets possessed. That could be cool. I haven't seen her in much since the Flash movie. Like I said, I cannot say enough about how awesome she was in that movie. It's great that she's doing another genre film, like Flash was a fantasy movie, like most comic book movies are, and seeing her now being in a horror movie, I love that, and I would love to see her in more stuff. I She hasn't been in much that I've seen since the Flash, but I can't wait for her to be in this movie. Oh my god, and it's just she's gonna be great. She's gonna be great. I am so excited for this movie. So, um, jump in the comment section and let me know what you guys think of Sasha Kaye being in Mike Flanagan's Exorcist movie. Okay, so this bit of news is interesting, and it's not really a big deal, but I wanted to talk about it for a little bit. So, for some reason, um, let me see here. Let me see here. I want to make sure I get my. Hold on. Let me get. Oh yeah. Sorry. I want to make sure I get this. Yes, that's it. Okay. So for some reason, this year we are getting a sixth film in the Scary Movie franchise. I don't really know why. Um, Now, here's here's a little for those who don't know. Here's some background on the Scary Movie franchise. Um, so there was Marlon, Sean, and Keenan Ivory Wayans. Marlon Wayans, Sean Wayans, and Keenan Ivory Wayans. They created the Scary Movie franchise. They created, wrote, and directed the first two films, which I've seen, and I think they're funny. Um, and they left after the second one because of conflicts with uh, Dimension Films. That's the film studio that um, I want to make sure I get my information correct. Um, so um, there was a um, there's an independent film studio called Dimension Films, and they distributed the Scary Movie films. They distributed, I believe, all the movies in the franchise. So, but the Wayans brothers, they left after Scary Movie 2 because of conflicts with the studio and the producers, Harvey and Bob Weinstein, and over creative control and financial compensation. Um, and what happened was, Marlon Wayans has stated that the Weinstein brothers essentially stole the franchise from. Marlon Wayans has said that the Weinstein brothers essentially stole the their franchise. Like the Weinsteins stole the Scary Movie franchise from the Wayans brothers, and they offered. Basically, what happened was the Weinsteins offered the Wayans brothers a quote unquote crappy deal, like financially, a crappy deal for the third film, and they said no, but the Weinsteins moved forward using using the Wayans brothers' ideas anyway. Now, um, and then the series continued with Scary Movie 3 and Scary Movie 4. And I saw the third one, and it didn't they just felt different. The movies just felt different after the second one. And now granted, I've only seen the first 3. And even after watching the third one, I'm like, yeah, I don't know that wasn't very good. But 3 and 4 um were uh they were still profitable, but they were they felt they there was something about, basically there was a quality to the film that was lacking from the first 2, because the Wayans brothers were no longer involved. Then there was Scary Movie 5 that was made without any of I don't think it was I don't think any of the original cast was involved. And the Scary Movie 5 was both a critical and financial disaster. So, needless to say, basically after Scary Movie 2, the franchise bottomed out. So that's why I'm like, why are we getting Scary Movie 6? Well, here's why. The Wayans brothers are returning for Scary Movie 6. They're back. And as far as and the original stars, Anna Faris and Regina Hall. So everybody's back. So as much as I'm like, why are we getting a 6th movie when the last 3 sucked? Well, there's a reason the last 3 sucked. But now the original creators and the original cast are back for this one. So there's a chance that this one could be good. And so what also happened was there was, obviously, there was the obvious downfall of the Weinstein Company, which was pretty public news. There was the downfall of the Weinstein Company, and the rights to the Scary Movie franchise eventually went. The rights of the Scary Movie franchise went to Paramount, and that paved the way for this new installment. Now, this article on CBR was published by Sam Fang. Says that this new Scary Movie has moved up from June 12th to June 5th. So we're getting a 6th Scary Movie a week earlier. Yay! Is that news to celebrate? Maybe. We'll see what happens. I can't say that I'm excited for this movie. I'm glad that I will say that the Wayans brothers getting, they finally got their baby back. That gives me hope that it will at least be better than the last three. But it's not like um, I loved the first two. Um, you know um, I mean the first one was okay ish. The second one's terrible. So it's, I mean, if anything, Scary Movie 6 is going to be better than the last three. So there's that. I don't know. Should we be excited for a sixth Scary Movie? I guess wait and see. I guess wait and see. So jump in the comment section and let me know what you guys think about this. All right, so I said that we were going to get to more, that I was going to get to more casting news for Mike Flanagan's Exorcist movie, and here we go. This is interesting. So, there's an article here on the Hollywood Reporter published by Boris Kitt. And this article says that John Leguizamo has joined the head spinning cast. I love that. Has joined the head spinning cast of Mike Flanagan's untitled Exorcist feature. John Leguizamo is going to be in this movie. Now, again, plot and character details are being kept under wraps. Maybe he's playing. I mean, I don't know. Like, could he be playing an antagonist kind of character? I mean, the antagonist is whoever is possessing the person, right? But could there be another one? Could he be playing a villain? That would be cool. I love John Leguizamo. Obviously from the John Wick movies. He was in Moulin Rouge. Uh, you, I for, say whatever you want about, I say whatever you want about that Spawn movie that came out in 97. He was awesome. He was awesome in Spawn. And he played Luigi in the live action Mario Brothers movie. There's a movie that I really love. I saw it when I was in high school and I've loved it ever since. It was this modern take on Romeo and Juliet. And it had Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes in it. And John Leguizamo was in it, and he played Tybalt. And he was great. He was awesome. I love John Leguizamo so much. And it's great that he's going to be in this movie. I cannot wait to see who he's going to play. Now, there is more casting news regarding this. This article is on CBR, published by Lee Freitag. Um, and uh, there's a lot of there's a lot of people. There's this article on CBR published by Lee Freitag that gives insight into there's more uh there's more actors who have uh been announced, um and they're kind of, um they've worked with Mike Flanagan before. um Now, uh but and they're all, I not they're all gonna play not necessarily background characters, but like supporting roles, like minor supporting roles. But one of them, um, one of those key cast members is an actress by the name of Carla Gugino. Now, Carla Gugino, um, was in the Watchmen movie that was directed by Zack Snyder, which I thought was decent. Um, she worked with Mike Flanagan before. She was in Gerald's Game. She was also in uh, Sucker Punch, which was again directed by Zack Snyder. She was also in. There was this. I want to make sure I get the title right because there are several movies in this franchise. Hold on just a second. Um, there was this remake of there was this movie that came out in 1968 called Escape to Witch Mountain. And in 2009 it was remade. They did it was remade by uh, Disney. Disney remade it, and it was called Race to Witch Mountain. And it had Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, and Carla Gugino was in it. She was also in what's the um yeah, she was in this movie with she was in this movie called Righteous Kill. Righteous Kill. Um and it had Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. It's not very. It's terrible. Oh, my light just went out. No, it didn't. Oh, it's coming back on. This light bothers me sometimes. Um, it's terrible. Righteous Kill is terrible. Thank God that the other Al Pacino Robert De Niro movie, Heat, is great because this one is terrible. But Carla Gugino was in that, and she's great in that. So Carla Gugino is going to be in the new Exorcist movie. This, I am so, I am just dripping with anticipation about what this movie is actually going to be. I I I want to know right now. I want to know. I want to see it now. I want to see it now. So, jump in the comment section and let me know. Do you what you guys think about this? Do you think I'm being too enthusiastic about this Exorcist movie? Uh, what do you guys think about? You have Sasha Kaye, you have Carla Gugino, and you have John Leguizamo, all going to be in this movie. I'm wondering what this movie's actually going to be. I am so intrigued and so psyched for this. Oh my god. So jump in the comment section and let me know what you guys think about this. So this next piece of news is interesting. You know, one of my favorite genres. I mean, I love all genres really. I mean, there are certain, but there are certain genres that I gravitate more towards, and one of those is science fiction. I love science fiction, and there's this article that about this new science fiction sci-fi action movie being made for Warner Brothers, starring Keanu Reeves, and I'll just read the article here. So this article is on Joe Blow, published by Kevin Fraser. Keanu Reeves is set to star in a new sci-fi action movie for Warner Brothers, directed by Deadpool's Tim Miller. The Hollywood Reporter has reported that production has officially begun, with a handful of new actors joining the film. Among them is Callie Cook, who played a struggling pit stop tire gunner in Brad Pitt's F1, who will play the female lead opposite Keanu Reeves. Okay, so this article does go on. The untitled project, previously known as Shiver, has been described as having shades of Tom Cruise's Edge of Tomorrow and Blake Lively's The Shallows. It follows a smuggler, played by Keanu Reeves, trapped in a time loop after a deadly double cross while on a job in the Caribbean Sea, resulting in him surrounded by bodies, hostile mercenaries, and thirsty sharks alike. Callie Cook will play a scientist. Okay. This sounds awesome. This sounds great. So okay, so I haven't seen The Shallows, starring Blake Lively. I have seen Edge of Tomorrow. Edge of Tomorrow was this sci-fi action movie starring Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt. It is seriously awesome. Edge of Tomorrow is awesome. Nobody went to go see it. And by that I mean, well, not nobody, but it, what I mean by that is, like, it didn't turn a profit. Because I blame the marketing on that, because all the trailers and all the marketing for Edge of Tomorrow, it was marketed as kind of a sci-fi version of Groundhog Day. And there's so much more to it. So much more to it. I really, really wish, and I'll talk more about this a little later. There's something I'll talk more about it later. But I really, really wish that more people had gone to see it in the theater, because Edge of Tomorrow is fucking fantastic. You know, I think it was Bill Paxton's last role, and he's great. He's great in that. And Edge of Tomorrow is awesome, and it sucks that nobody went to go see it, because it's so good. So, but I haven't seen The Shallows. But I know the premise of The Shallows. So if it's got vibes of Edge of Tomorrow and The Shallows, I'm all in. Plus, you have Keanu. I love Keanu Reeves. I don't care what anyone says. I love Keanu Reeves. Has he been in some seriously awful films? Yeah. Has he been in some seriously awesome films? Absolutely. Um, I love him. I love, and I just love him as a person too. Like, to be that successful and yet so nice and humble is so rare. You know, he's just a national treasure. Callie Cook was in F1, and she was good in F1. Um, it's going to be nice to see her. Um, she was kind of a supporting role, um, in F1. Um, so it'll be nice to see her kind of. She was nominated for an Oscar, um, but um, um, no, she wasn't. I'm sorry. I was thinking of something else. I'm getting Callie Cook confused with something else. Callie Cook was in F1. Um, but it was a kind of a little bit of a minor supporting role. So it'll be nice to see her kind of star opposite a star like Keanu Reeves. Now, Tim Miller directing this movie. This is interesting. Now, Tim Miller, he directed Deadpool. Awesome. Deadpool's awesome. He directed uh he also directed Terminator Dark Fate, which was, I'll say it, Terminator Dark Fate was pretty damn good. I think that um, Terminator Dark Fate was pretty damn good. It wasn't great, but it was certainly better than Terminator Salvation, which was the one with Christian Bale, and it was certainly better than Terminator Genesis, which was the one that came after that. So Terminator Dark Fate was Terminator 6. Terminator Dark Fate was pretty damn good. I would put it on par with the third one, Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines, where Arnold fought the female Terminator. There's sometimes I kind of flip flop on which, between those two, I kind of flip flop on which one is better. Um, but Terminator Dark Fate was pretty damn good. The problem is nobody went to go see it because the problem is it I want to make sure I'm so sorry about this. The problem is it didn't make any money. It didn't turn a profit because everybody was so burned out because of the last two Terminator movies. But seriously, Terminator Dark Fate is it's the it's definitely the best one since Terminator 3, like I said. So, Tim Miller is certainly capable of directing good films. I want to be careful on how I say this. I have First of all, let me be clear. I have no doubt that because of Tim Miller's previous directorial efforts, I have no doubt that this movie is going to be good. What I will say is that when marketing this movie, maybe steer clear of marketing it as from the director of Terminator Dark Fate. Market it as from the director of Deadpool. Because if you market it as from the director of Terminator Dark Fate, you're going and I could be wrong. Just don't even put Terminator Dark Fate near his name when you market this movie. And I could be wrong about this, but if you put Terminator Dark Fate near his name, near Tim Miller's name when marketing this movie, you might alienate people. You know, like, oh God, from the director of that movie, like he's gonna, you know. I would focus on from the director of Deadpool, because Deadpool was awesome, and Deadpool is better than Terminator Dark Fate. I know they're two completely different kinds of movies, but Deadpool is the much better movie, in my opinion. So that's what I'll say about that. That being said, like I said, I have no. I think this movie will be good, and Keanu Reeves being in a movie like this, I mean, come on, like, and he's been on the record of saying like he loves sci-fi movies. He loves movies like this. You know, and it'll be nice to see Callie Cook in a more prominent supporting role. I'm excited about this. You know, trapped in a time loop after a deadly double cross while on a job in the Caribbean Sea, resulting in him surrounded by bodies, hostile mercenaries, and thirsty sharks alike. That sounds really twisted and really weird and awesome. And I am down for it. Excuse me. I am down for that. So jump in the comment section and let me know what you guys think about this. Okay. So, a couple of more announcements. So, one of my favorite film studios, not just in animation, but just film studio in general, is Pixar. I'm a huge fan of Pixar, and I have, for the most part, really enjoyed and or loved, dearly loved, every movie Pixar has made. Cars 2 notwithstanding. Cars 2 is terrible. You know, you got Toy Story, you got A Bug's Life, Toy Story 2, Monsters Inc., Finding Nemo, The Incredibles, Cars 1, Ratatouille, WALL-E, Up, Toy Story 3, Cars 2. You got Brave. Brave was pretty damn good. I need to watch it again. Brave. Monsters University, Inside Out, The Good Dinosaur. The Good Dinosaur is really, really good. It's a shame that it didn't do well financially. Like, I don't know why, but The Good Dinosaur is really damn good. Finding Dory, Cars 3, Coco, Incredibles 2, Toy Story 4, Onward, Soul, Luca, Turning Red, Lightyear, Elemental, Inside Out 2, Elio, Hoppers. Katie and I went to go see Hoppers this past weekend. Hoppers is great. Hoppers is so just funny, and it's just when you think of like Hoppers does everything. If you think about what qualities go into a Pixar film, Hoppers has it, has it all, and it's great. Um, so I'm a huge Pixar. I'm a huge fan of Pixar Studios. Again, you can take Cars 2 out of that equation. But other than that, I mean, there are movies that I enjoy more than others, but other than Cars 2, I have I've enjoyed every single one. Now, there is this article on CBR published by John Dodge um, that and it lists several. This article goes into some uh, like a slew of announcements from Pixar Studios, including uh, a new, including an announcement. I can't even speak today. This article goes into news and announcements regarding Pixar Studios, and one of those announcements is a new film in the Monsters Inc. franchise. So there was Monsters Inc. and Monsters University. I loved Monsters University. I thought it was great. The dean of the university, the flying bug, the flying insect, she creeped me out. Or was it an insect? Um, I dean of Monsters University. Hard Scrabble. No, it was that's right. She was a dragon. Dean Hard Scrabble. She creeped me out, man. That was freaky. I was and there's not much that like uh there's there's not much that like I love watching movies. I love watching creepy movies, you know, like movies that make you like turn around to make sure no one's behind you, or like make you turn on the light to make sure no one's creeping up on you. Deaton Hardscrabble felt like a creature from that kind of a movie. That she freaked me out, man. I loved Monsters University. Monsters Inc. is great. I that that maybe other than the original Toy Story, Monsters Inc. is probably the Pixar movie that I love the most. It was the first um, Monsters University. Like after I saw, um, like I remember when Toy Story came out, but I just thought it was like a one-off movie. Like this animation studio made this movie, and then I kind of, and I was young and not, and I wasn't thinking about the industry nearly as much as I do these days. Like I wasn't in tune with what's going on in the industry. Um, but so after Toy Story, like I didn't watch, I didn't see anything between. I mean, there was a Bug's Life, but between Toy Story, A Bug's Life, and then I didn't watch. I didn't see for whatever reason. I didn't see any Pixar movies until Monsters Inc. And then I saw Monsters Inc. in the theater, And that was when I really started to follow Pixar Studios films. You know, that was when I really became a fan of the studio, and I love Monsters Inc. So much. I mean, there's the great. I mean, it's just it's so well made. It's so well made, and it's so entertaining. I remember this is gonna sound terrible, but I remember there's the code in Monsters Inc. You know, 2319 when something from the real world comes into um the world of the monsters, right? And I remember when I was in high school, there was this uh girl that had a crush on me, that the feeling was far from mutual. Let's just put it that way. You know, and plus there was this other girl that I kind of had a crush on at the time. So, but this girl in high school would just follow me around, in and I would my my best friend Mike Shreve. I would like he would see her following me around, and I would walk by, and I would go 2319 2319, and he would just laugh. I know that makes me sound like a terrible person, but give me a break, okay? I was young and stupid, and we were all young and stupid when we were in high school, you know. Don't you remember when you were young and stupid? Um so I don't know. I just found that story funny, but I don't know why I told you that. But I love Monsters Inc. You know, Mike Wazowski, and you know, there's that great scene of where Sully thinks that the child uh, thinks that Boo is in the conveyor belts, and he's just fainting and gets back up and faints again, and then the whole sequence with them climbing over the doors, you know, and it's I love Monsters Inc. So a third one, um, I love this. I love. Uh, I think this is great. I think this is great. Um, you know, um, I I I the only thing that I will say, um, um, hold on, is that let's see if it gives any information here. Um, okay, so the only thing that I will say, and I think this is what it's going to be, is that I want it. I hope it's a sequel. Like I hope it's not Monsters. I hope it's Monsters Inc. 2 and not Monsters University 2. You know what I mean? Like I hope it's a sequel and not another. I mean, I would see it either way, but I would love to see a film where Mike Wazowski uh, and Sully are older and more experienced. You know, I'm always watching, Mike Wazowski, always watching. You know, just I love that movie so much. Uh, I love this. I love this, and Pixar has been knocking it out of the park. You know, like I remember, and a few, you know, back when Coco came out, um, you know, Katie and I went to go see it, and at the end, when when the kid is singing "Remember Me" to his grandmother, Katie and I we're just sitting there going like, okay, we're not gonna cry, we're not gonna cry, we're crying, we're crying. Fuck you, Pixar. Damn it, you did it again. It's just they Pixar hits all the right buttons. And like the opening scene of Up. And it's just like they know how to tug at the heartstrings, man. They know it. They know how to do it. They've got it. I love Pixar Studios, and I love their films. Um, so Monster. I hope it's a sequel, because I would love to see older versions of. Uh, I want to see them be older, and what their life is like now. That's one of the reasons why Toy Story 5 looks so interesting to me, is like now these um these great toys of old have to deal with technology. I think that's really interesting and very topical. You know, but yeah, I'm so excited for a new Monsters Inc. film. Um, so jump in the comment section and let me know your thoughts. Did you enjoy my story about high school? Did you think that was a bit much? Um, there is one more piece of news that I want to talk about in this episode. So, and I've said this before. Um, I um, hold on just a second. I am really um I I kind of like that Disney has remade uh their animated films. I know a lot of people are completely against it and they haven't seen a single one, but I like them. I think my favorite one is The Jungle Book, the remake of The Jungle Book. That movie is awesome. That movie is great, and again, and I don't think they need to be, but the remake of The Jungle Book is better than the original. And again, that shouldn't be the goal. Just make it a good movie, you know. And this is coming from someone. Look, I love the original Jungle Book. I love it to death, and the remake is awesome. The remake is I was glued to the screen. I was, and it's great. Um, Pete's Dragon was great. I loved Pete's Dragon. My wife thought it was unnecessary, and she was like, it's all right. But I loved Pete's Dragon. Then there was Cinderella. Cinderella's great. Cinderella's great. The remake of that. Um, Cruella, with Emma Stone. Cruella is really damn good. It's really damn good. The production design, the sets, the costumes, the performances, all of it is great. The story, all of it is great. The live action Mulan is pretty damn good. I'll say that. I know a lot of people were against that one too, but the live action Mulan I thought was pretty damn good. Then there was that Christopher Robin movie with Ewan McGregor and Haley Atwell. Um, and it was very, very charming, and it was really good. Another one that I really enjoyed was the Beauty and the Beast, with Emma Watson. I really enjoyed that one. I really, really enjoyed that one. I'm going down the list here. Um, I know this is kind of a hot take, but I liked the live action Lilo and Stitch. Uh, I liked it. You know, uh, my wife and I went to go see it. Uh, we weren't too sure about it because I love Lilo and Stitch so much. She is obsessed with that movie. Katie is obsessed with Lilo and Stitch. She falls asleep to that movie. She like falls asleep quoting the movie. That's I've never known anyone to do that before. um, you know, the I'm going down the list here. There was the live action Little Mermaid. I thought that was decent. I thought that was pretty good. Um, I haven't seen the Lady and the Tramp, the live action Lady and the Tramp that was on Disney Plus. I haven't seen it. I've seen there was Peter Pan and Wendy, which was decent, and I'm a huge Peter Pan fan of the story, the character, everything. It was decent. It was definitely better than Pan, the one with Hugh Jackman. That movie's terrible. But Peter Pan and Wendy was decent. Aladdin was decent. The live action Aladdin was decent. The one thing I loved that Will Smith didn't go for replicating what Robin Williams did. I loved that. I love that Will Smith kind of made it his own. I mean, there were certain homages to what Robin Williams did, but Will Smith made it his own. And that was when I really, and Naomi Scott, who played Princess Jasmine, and her song Speechless is fantastic. It's fantastic. And, you know, I will say, and again, I will say, it's really so there's an actor by the name of Mina Massoud, and he played Aladdin. And I just want to say this real quick. It's a real damn shame that he hasn't gotten much work since Aladdin. One, because he was really, really good in that movie. And I was like, who is this kid? You know, and I mean, not that I'm the expert, but he was really good. And that movie made $1 billion. You know, and usually when a movie makes that kind of money, your career just takes off. And for whatever reason, Mina Massoud, however you pronounce it, he hasn't gotten much work. And even Will Smith has spoken about how, like, you know, it sucks, but unfortunately, you know, the industry's cruel like that. I don't get it. It's a real shame. I have not seen... Okay, now here's where it gets... The Lion King. I love, with a passion, the original Lion King. I saw that movie in the theater with my mom. She took me to see it. I was 10. I love the original Lion King so much. That is a movie that I think, like, if someone were just, hey, you want to watch The Lion King? Fuck yeah, I'll watch The Lion King. I love it so much. I was really, 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 I cannot emphasize this. I cannot emphasize how disappointed I was with the live action remake of Lion King. It made a lot of money, you know. I was really disappointed with that. I should have known better, because one of the first things that they said about what they were going to do with the live action Lion King was use 90% of the original dialogue. And I'm like, why? I mean, they could have just mailed James Earl Jones a check for that movie. I was really disappointed with that. I didn't even see this. They did like a pseudo sequel, prequel thing, Mufasa the Lion King. I haven't even watched that because I heard that was not very good either. Um, then there was the two Maleficent movies. Um, I love Angelina Jolie as Maleficent, but plot wise, story wise, I don't think those movies are very good. The Alice in Wonderland movies are not very good. They're kind of boring. Um, I did not care for Dumbo very much. Dumbo, the live action Dumbo, was not very good in my opinion. It didn't really start getting going for me until Michael Keaton showed up. I have not seen Snow White, the live action Snow White. I've heard it's terrible. I have not. I don't know if I have the balls to watch it. Let's see what else here. Then there was the Pinocchio movie with Tom Hanks that was on Disney Plus. I haven't even seen that. Now, I know that was kind of long-winded. My point is, so there was going to be a live-action remake of Robin Hood, of Disney's Robin Hood, which is Disney's Robin Hood is decent, I think. It's certainly it's not one that I go back to. But there was going to be a live action version of that, of Robin Hood, which I just thought I was like, this is a terrible, terrible idea, because I don't think, and I it's been a while since I've seen it, but I don't think there are going to be any. I don't think there are any human characters in the original Robin Hood. I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've seen it. So making a movie like that with all talking animals in costumes would be a lot of effects work, a lot of visual effects work, which means it was going to be probably terribly, terribly expensive. So I personally thought this is just a bad idea. Well, evidently, Disney has thought the same thing. Disney thinks the same thing. This article is on CBR, published by Jamie Levitt. Disney has scrapped its planned live-action remake of the beloved 1973 animated Robin Hood. The news comes for Carlos Lopez Estrada, who had been set to direct the Robin Hood live-action remake. He revealed its demise in a Reddit AMA. Cary Granlund. So it was written. It had already been written by Cary Granlund, and the film was planned as a hybrid of live action and computer animation. Okay. Granlund previously wrote the 2019 remake of The Lady and the Tramp, which went straight to streaming. There's probably a reason why. It's because I've heard it's not very good. Now, this article does go into why uh, it goes into why uh, Disney may have scrapped it. Like I said, you have a cast that is entirely, you don't have any human characters in it, which means um, that they call it live action, but it's really going to be kind of like The Lion King, where it was going to be entirely anthropomorphized animals, which means that movie was going to be terribly, terribly expensive. Um, and all the characters would have to be CGI, and it was just unrealistic. And uh, you I mean, I think that's a big reason. Sorry, my back hurts a little bit. Yeah, I think the other reason too is like, I you want to see a movie in the theater, and maybe they had an idea to put it straight to Disney Plus, which that doesn't bode well, in my opinion. So I just thought this was a terrible idea to begin with, and I'm kind of glad that it's not happening. I mean, it sucks, but I'm kind of glad, because it sounds like it was going to be a hard sell to begin with. And look, a lot of these live action, a few of these live action, well, not a lot, but a few of these live action remakes have gotten, I mean, especially Snow White, got such backlash before it even came out. People saw those trailers and were just like, "What the fuck is this?" You know. Um, I mean, what Rachel Zegler opened her mouth about didn't do that movie any favors, but that's neither here nor there. So I mean, and it's not like Disney is slowing down, with their live action. It seems like they want to focus on doing projects that audiences could get behind. And I think doing a live action Robin Hood would be difficult, and would be difficult to make, and for people, and be difficult for audiences to be won over about. And I just saw the trailer for the live action Moana, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see. So jump in the comment section and let me know what you guys think about Disney scrapping their live action remake of Robin Hood. Well, that'll about do it for this episode. I'm terribly sorry that I kind of went off the rails there a couple of times. I felt like I had a lot to say, so I apologize if I went long. There is one more there is one more thing that I wanted to talk about. So, um, I had this idea, and I'm not sure if anyone would be interested in it. I put it out on my Facebook, and I didn't get much of a response about it. But I had an idea, and I was wondering if it would be a good idea, or if I could, any kind of response is welcome. I don't, because I don't want to go forward with an idea if nobody's interested in it. But I was, my last episode I talked about there's that movie that came out recently called why am I blanking on it? Good lord. Um uh yeah, there's Crime 101. I don't know why I blanked on that. I just saw it. There's a new movie that Chris Hemsworth was recently in called Crime 101. And it's a great film. It's a seriously great film, but it's going to lose money. And I've talked a lot about I've talked a couple times about movies that I've seen and I've recommended because they're great, and it's unfortunate that they're going to lose money because they're really great films. So I had this idea of doing a second YouTube show talking about and look, I understand like art is subjective. Movies are subjective. Just because I enjoy a movie doesn't mean you're going to enjoy it, and I understand that. But I had this idea of doing a show where I talk about what I think are great films that unfortunately not a lot of people saw in the theater or maybe haven't seen at all. Like, essentially, doing a show talking about um, what the general public consensus is. Like, the general public, uh, the general consensus is that these films are objectively great, but they didn't turn a profit. Because there are films out there like that, like Crime 101, like The Right Stuff. Um, you know, um, so I had this idea of doing a show that talks about great movies that, for whatever reason, people chose not to go see, and and still maybe haven't seen. Um, but I'm not sure if anyone would be interested in that. And essentially providing, talking about the movie and providing bits of trivia as to why that the movie possibly lost, as to providing bits of trivia as possible reasons why the movie lost money and possible trivia about the movie. Um, but I had that idea, and I'm like, I don't know if anyone would be interested in here in a show about that. Great movies that you know financially failed at the box office. I don't know, but I had an idea. I thought I would throw it out there. See if anybody would be interested in that. I know I've gone on really really long here, um, so hopefully I haven't bored you guys with anything today. But I just wanted to throw that idea out there and see, if I promise, if you don't think it's a good idea, I will I will not take it personally. I it was just uh, Mike Tyson once said if everybody's got a Mike Tyson once said everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth. Um, and So if you think it's a good idea, tell me. If you don't think it's a good idea, tell me. No skin off my back. It won't bother me. I promise. But I just had that idea and was curious as to what you guys thought. So I'm gonna end this episode here. I know it's been a long episode. Um, I might do 2 tomorrow. I was planning on doing 2 today, but I might do that tomorrow. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show and continue to enjoy the show. Go see Hoppers because it's great. If you haven't seen it yet, go see Hoppers because it's great. My wife and I and my sister, or I should say my wife, my sister, and I. My sister would kill me if I screwed up my grammar or pronunciation. I come from a long line of English majors. So my wife, my sister, and I were trying to figure out when to go see Project Hail Mary. I've heard it's great, and it broke all kinds of records opening weekend, and I really want to see it. I am so excited to go see it. But that's the next movie that I'm probably gonna go see. But go see Hoppers because it's great. So I'm gonna get off here. Hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you guys continue to tune in. Hit that like button. Tell your friends about it. And as always, I will see you at the movies.